And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang has the day off. He'll be back with us on Monday. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is the founder of Morgan & Morgan, which is a plaintiff's law firm. You've probably seen the ads on TV or seen him opine on cable or the business networks. You can get him online at forthepeople.com. John Morgan, welcome.
It is my pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by on this Friday, which here we call Jimmy Buffett Friday, which is a big Floridian.
Well, you know, I own a piece of Margaritaville. Jimmy was a friend of mine, and later in life I got to buy into the company and had some great moments with him.
No kidding. You know, It's funny. You go down to Key West, which is, I think, where the original Margaritaville opened.
Now, Key West, whenever he would go to Key West, I'd say, "Where are you, Jimmy?" He'd say, "I'm headed to Mecca." That's what he called Key West. That's where all the magic happened.
Oh, yeah, and that is a special place. And typically when you deal with islands like that attract a lot of tourists, all you get the chain restaurants, which I don't really have much use for.
No.
But Key West, man, that is one of these tourist places that has nothing but great food with live music all over the place, and there's an energy that exists down there that you can't get anywhere else.
Well, there's a restaurant called La Di Da that has bacon, like sugar-coated bacon. I mean, you're right. Every restaurant is not a chain, off the hook, fantastic.
And they all have oysters at happy hour, which make me happy.
Yes.
All right. So my favorite book about the 2024 election was the book Fight, which you appeared in. In fact, it was in the chapter when it was Houston, we got a problem. And it was explaining what happened after the debate. And they set the stage by saying, all right, this Democratic donor, John Morgan, was settling into his easy chair. He popped some popcorn. He poured a real Coke. I'm glad it was the real thing and not the diet. That fake sugar's awful.
Oh, yeah, with the bottle, not the can.
And you sat down and watched the debate, and that was the moment at which people started to realize, okay, we got a problem here. And they said that I guess Nancy Pelosi called you not long after the debate ended, and you had a conversation with her, and that's when the dominoes started falling, that this may not be what we anticipated.
Well, as soon as I saw it, I was like, the election is over. It's done. I own nursing homes in Florida, and there's a syndrome called sundowner syndrome where, you know, they start, you know, they're there, they're not there. That's what it looked like to me. It was just a deer in the headlight. I was frozen. I texted Pelosi. I said, it's over. We texted back and forth, and guess what? I was right.
Was she freaking out too?
Absolutely. Look, she kept freaking out, and she's the reason that he pulled out. She called Mike Donlin. By the way, Mike Donlin, the ad guy, he was going to make $4 million. He had a vested interest in sending this to the finish. She got on the phone with Biden, and she said, put Mike Donlin on the phone. And Mike Donlin got on the phone. She said, you're not showing him the real numbers. But you got to remember, all these sycophants and vultures, they were all making money off of Joe Biden. And they didn't want the party to end. And that's what it is, plain and simple. And then, of course, they decided, as I said in a tweet early when it happened, when Joe got out, he wanted to stick his middle finger to Pelosi and to Obama and to everybody else, and he endorsed Kamala, basically ending the election and handing it to Trump.
Do you think that was a specific and deliberate move on behalf of Joe and probably his family to let them know, okay?
Absolutely. Look, Obama, I was a finance chair for Obama. He's came to my home. I've been to his home. I've been to his 50th birthday, Michelle's 50th, his goodbye party. I've known him for a long time. He didn't endorse her for 5 days. He did not want her. He wanted a mini convention. Pelosi wanted a mini convention. Kamala Harris, when she ran for president, didn't get but 8% of the vote in California. I mean, she was just not ready for prime time. And I lobbied heavily way back when against her even being chosen for vice president, me and a guy named Chris Dodd, the senator from Connecticut. But Ron Klain, the genius, ramrodded Kamala down Biden's throat, and there we are. An electoral disaster for the Democratic Party.
Why is it, do you think, that none of the guys would step up and do what Nancy Pelosi did? Because she's the former speaker. There's a new Democratic leader. There's Chuck Schumer. There are many others in elected office who, in theory, are in positions of leadership. Barack Obama, the former president. Yet they all seem to want her to do it. None of them wanted to get their hands dirty.
Well, there's a reason that Nancy Pelosi is my hero in politics. She is a badass, and she there's a lot of people that can't do that type of thing. She can. That's why she's the speaker. She's the most powerful woman that's ever been in the United States politics anywhere, including Hillary Clinton. And she did the job that boys couldn't do or wouldn't do. Schumer didn't do it. And Obama, remember, he's got to be diplomatic because the train was leaving the station. But he just kept waiting 5 days. That showed you, when he waited 5 days, that showed you everything. In poker, he showed his hand. And his hand was, I'm folding on this girl.
And do you think the fact that none of the guys would do it and they left it up to her led to delays that helped prevent an open convention?
Oh, yeah. Well, Biden himself didn't want, that was his finger to the Democratic Party, to Pelosi, to Obama, to everybody that forced him out. And, who knows what state he was in when he did it. He faxed it, and then he later faxed another fax that endorsed Kamala, because he knew that Pelosi didn't want her. He knew that Obama didn't want her. And I think he kind of said, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I'm going to pick her and let these people see what it's like to not have Uncle Joe. And I think it was a deliberate, because it was too quick. He dropped out and endorsed her. And then, the Clintons jumped right on it and endorsed her too, which I was pissed off about. But it was over. The election was over. I had already raised $800,000 for a party I was going to have at my house for him. And when they told me that, I said, I'm out. I'm not going to raise another dime. If I could have got the $800,000 back, I'd have loved to got that, because I knew it was money down a rat hole. Listen, she had $2 billion and got beat almost as bad as George McGovern. I mean, she lost every wall, all the 7 states, every single one. And the thing about it was, the irritating thing for me, at the end of the campaign, she was prancing on the stage. She thought, when you read the books, she thought she was going to win. She was the only person in America, other than her campaign, that thought she was going to win. It was delusional. I mean, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and she picked the guy, that goofball governor, because she was intimidated by Josh Shapiro. In business, I tell people A's hire B's and B's hire C's, because they're intimidated by those people. A's that hire A's are who you want to be president.
How do you think she got there? And I say that because it sounds like you and I have read many of the same books about the election.
Yes.
In that book, Fight, they said, according to the numbers internally from that campaign, at no point was she going to win. Even when she was at her highest high after the convention, she still would have lost the election to Trump. At no point did they ever have an electoral majority, yet it seems like her people convinced her that she did the whole way through.
Oh, listen, when you watch her doing her, her rallies at the end, she was prancing. And And look, I'm very good friends with Tony Fabrizio. I'm representing one of his. He's Trump's pollster. I'm calling you from Florida. That's where we all live. And Fabrizio says it's going to be a rout. Fabrizio knew it was going to be a rout. And I don't know why they didn't know. I mean, all the clear politics, I mean, everything. And when you read the books that me and you have read, and you read the postmortem, she's devastated. She's stunned. She thought she was going to wake up and be president. And then, listen, you take that plus when the bullet hit Trump's ear, I'm like, then it was really over. You got Kamala, you got the assassination, you got him with his fist in the air. It was like I mean, he couldn't script it better. He's standing there dripping in blood with his and America was looking for a strong deal. The Democrats decided they were going to have this campaign called Soul for the Soul of the Nation, whatever that means, and to defend about 38 transvestite swimmers in America. And America wasn't buying that. America wanted jobs, prices down, and it was just a miscast cast of characters and messages. So I'm not even a Democrat anymore. It soured me so much I'm not even a registered Democrat. The Democratic Party now is basically two parties. There's the capitalist and there's the socialist and the Marxist. There's two different things. You see it in New York City right now. So it's not like it's one party. And so that's why I said, you know what? I'm better off as an independent. I like some Republicans. I like some Democrats. I'll pick and choose. But I'm never just going to be lockstep with the Kamala Harris. Everybody thought she was going to run for governor out there in California. I said, there's no way she's going to run. They said, why? I said, her ego is too big. She still thinks she should have been president. And if she decides to run again, she'll be slaughtered, mowed down. She won't get past first base. She's not ready for prime time. And not only that, remember this, since you follow this stuff, in the Iowa debate, she stabbed Joe Biden right in the chest. She came there and blindsided him about the busing, had the T-shirts already made up. I was that little girl. He couldn't believe it. And when me and Chris Dodd were begging them not to pick her, I kept saying, she is a disloyal person. Joe Biden trusted her because of her relationship with Beau Biden, and she cut his throat on live TV. She can't be trusted. But the good news is we've seen the last of her, I believe.
Well, she's not running for governor of California here, but the rumor that was spreading was she's not running because she's preparing to run for president. But if she runs for president, it's not going to be like the last time where Joe anointed her as the Democratic nominee. She's going to have to win a primary, and she's going to have to win a primary the whole way through, from New Hampshire, whatever state they have go first, all the way to the convention.
And nobody's going to forget the campaign that she ran and the defeat that she took. I mean, Democrats are not going to say, well, I mean, you go back to the campaign. What was good about it? You had $2 billion. You didn't win one state that was a toss-up, not one. Name one you won. And margins were very close in places like New Jersey and, what should have not been. She does not have the resume or the record. If she runs, I don't know who's going to give her money except some people that she may have out in California. But she's finished. She just doesn't know. It's like that movie or whatever, Dead Man Walking. Well, she's Dead Woman Walking. It's over for her. She needs to go get on a board, make some money. Her husband needs to go back to his law firm, and they need to settle in because it's over.
When Nancy Pelosi went to Joe to get him out of the race, was that difficult for her personally? And I say that because in the book, they said that those two have been very close for a very long period of time. Whenever Joe would come to California, he'd stay with the Pelosi's. He'd borrow her car because I guess he was on a budget and didn't even have money to rent a car. So he would drive one of the Pelosi family cars. They saw each other like brother and sister.
Yes. Listen, I talk to her all the time. I text her all the time. When she was in Florida a couple of months ago, I took her to a place. We had hot dogs together at Portillo's. She cried about it. She cried privately about what happened. And she said to me, I love him. But you know what about Nancy Pelosi is she loved her country and her party more than she loved Joe Biden. That's all. That's all. What she did was heroic. And she saved him. She saved him from further humiliation. I mean, look, I love the guy. I've been with him forever and ever and ever. His brother came out and stayed with me in Hawaii. I live in Hawaii half the year. Stayed with me in Maui, but he is having cognitive difficulties. I mean, George Clooney did not do what he did for no reason. George Clooney is a loyal dude like me from Kentucky, and that was very hard for him to do. But guess what? Guess who knew it was being done? Obama. And it happened anyway. Because the people around him that were making money, Anita Dunn, Ricchetti, Donlin, all these people were making money lobbying and writing ads and doing polls and blowing smoke up his skirt because they were going to get paid. They didn't care about the country. They cared about themselves. And what they left us with was a person who is not ready for prime time. When you watch her in those debates, when you hear in interviews, she's slurring and the words are backwards, and you're like, shit, are you on Xanax? I mean, what's going on?
All right, last question. That's okay. We got it.
I forgot about it.
No, don't worry about it. Last question before we go. We know that Jimmy Buffett likes to sing about margaritas and all the tropical drinks. When you'd sit down and have a cocktail with Jimmy, what would he order?
Well, first of all, we'd smoke a joint. And he had this special rosé. This rosé. I'm trying to think of the Saint Ott's. It's called Saint Ott Rosé. And we'd smoke a joint and drink St. Ott's Rosé.
All right. It's always funny to me whenever people are big into the pool drinks, the margaritas or daiquiris or whatever. Then you go out to drink with them. Oh, I'll have a scotch on the rocks. Oh, okay. John Morgan.
I don't even know how people drink scotch. I tried to like it, but it's like drinking methylate to me. I mean, what they say it's an acquired taste. It's like acquired taste eating cow manure. I can't. I don't know how much you got to eat. I don't know how much you got to eat to like it. But
John Morgan,
God bless them. They say it's an acquired taste. I'm like, I don't need to taste but once. You give me a scoop of cow manure and that's it.
Founder of Morgan & Morgan.
To get comfortable with that, I'm going to have a steak, but not the cow manure.
You can get them online at forthepeople.com. John, thanks so much for stopping by. We appreciate your time.
See you, man. Bye.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show on this Jimmy Buffett Friday. The Fix California Hour continues in moments. If you want to weigh in on what you just heard, give us a call at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show on this Jimmy Buffett Friday. Roger Stone joins us at the top of the hour. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And if you'd like to listen to the show all weekend long, all you have to do is whip out your handy-dandy iPhone and subscribe to the program. All the episodes will be downloaded to your phone automatically. And if you're driving to Laughlin, Nevada on a Friday afternoon and you're in the middle of nowhere and you can't pick up any radio station, you can listen to us. And hopefully your AC works because it's going to be hot. All right, we just spoke with John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, who is and was a Democratic mega donor and was one of the chief financiers of Biden-Harris. And what he said was fascinating on so many different levels. First of all, if you're a fan of politics, being taken into the room when all the decisions were being made and Biden's performance and Biden's viability in the race were being evaluated in real time. It's a fascinating, fascinating conversation. But I'll tell you, the takeaway for me is what he ended with. Well, not the part of Jimmy Buffett drinking rosé, but the other thing. And that is that Kamala Harris's political career is over. He said she's done. That had she run for governor of California, he believes she would have lost. And he does not believe she is a viable candidate for president in 2028. And it's easy to make that statement if you're one of these people in the peanut gallery and you're just looking at politics and you say, oh, she lost the election. There's no way she can win. Well, sitting in his seat, it's a little different. And I'll tell you why. You look at her resume and you say, okay, well, she was a district attorney. She was an attorney general. She was a United States senator. She was a vice president. She was a presidential nominee for a major American party. That's about as good of a resume as you can come up with. If she runs for governor, she's going to win. If she runs for president, she's going to be a top-tier candidate. No question about it. But here's the thing. The reason you think that about people like her is because they have access to these social networks that produce things like money and endorsements and interest group support and those sorts of things. Usually, if you've been in politics that long, you've developed these relationships of people who will stick with you through thick and thin. And those people will make sure that you have the endorsements that you need, the money that you need, the help that you need, people stuffing envelopes, people walking precincts. All of that comes with having access to these social networks. And Kamala Harris certainly spent a career with access to these elite networks. But what John Morgan just told us is that what she has is worse than being unknown to those networks, which a lot of candidates are. If you come from an area that doesn't have a lot of people and you are elected to some low-level office, you can't get a meeting with these people. They don't know who you are. What she has right now is worse than that because they know who she is, and from their point of view, she burned them. They ponied up the money to finance Biden-Harris, and they hid Biden's senility from the donors, or they lied about it, I guess is a better way of putting it, and they convinced her that she was going to win the election, and because of that, they got her to do things that she shouldn't have been doing because they lied to her. They gave her bad information. They convinced her she was going to win the election. And because of that, she did some truly stupid things. Well, if you are Kamala Harris, you're disappointed. If you're the people that bankrolled Kamala Harris, you're furious. Because you threw good money after a bad candidate, and all of that money went down a rat hole. And then the candidate that did that to you is going to have the nerve to turn around and ask for more? Are you kidding me? Who would do that? Who would give her more money at this point when there are plenty of other candidates out there who don't have that baggage? That's the problem that she has right now. What happens when you have that reputation is you become toxic. And if you're toxic, who wants to get behind your campaign? Who wants to bankroll your campaign? Imagine being a rich person calling your rich friends in your social network, asking them to come to a fundraiser at your house and having them scream and yell on the phone, call her every name in the book, call you every name in the book, and then hang up the phone. Who wants to subject themselves to that kind of abuse? And the answer is very few people. Now, he made it very clear he's done with her and he's never going back. And he thinks everyone else is done with her. And I think he's probably right. So maybe, just maybe, when she decided to take a pass on running for governor of California, it was more than just she's not that interested in the issues and she got a poll that was bad, or maybe two polls that were bad. Her problems may run a whole lot deeper than that. And if her problems run deeper than that in terms of a run for governor, just imagine how deep they run when you're talking about the presidency. My guess is this woman has 1,000,001 problems, and you can go ahead and stick a fork in her. Let's go to John in Northern California. John, hello.
Yeah, hi, John.
Hi there.
Yeah, so my original comment was for talk about Nancy Pelosi, but I was just going to, if I could, just respond to what you were saying about Kamala. So I really think we dodged a bullet with her. She showed her hand how evil she was when she went after the journalist, Delayden, the pro-life guy that exposed Planned Parenthood selling baby parts. She went after those people, hammer and tong. And I don't think she would have batted an eye putting her political enemies, specifically, pro-lifers, in a camp. I mean, that's how I really thank God we didn't get her in as president. But yeah, my Pelosi comment was, your last guest said she was cried after giving Joe the hook, and I thought, man, that's pretty funny. Snakes don't cry, and she doesn't. They don't even have eyelids.
Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Let's go to Randy in Mission Viejo. Randy, hello.
Hey, good afternoon, Don. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's Friday.
Finally, and it's a Jimmy Buffett Friday. Thank you very much for keeping the spirit alive. Hey, I just wanted to say that it was enlightening, if not transitional, for me to hear Mr. John Morgan speak. I've opened my mind and my heart to a Democrat now, and even more so an attorney, so I'm going to have to change my way of thinking about them. He's a really, really straight shooter. Going back to Katie Porker trying to be governor here, oh my God, I hated it when she was our congresswoman. I don't see how she can, I can see how she can win in California. Steve Hilton, I'm behind him, but, that English accent is going to work against him. Is there anyone that can give him voice lessons so he might pass as a Californian? And other than that, I agree with you, John, and Mr. Morgan about Key West being paradise. We wasted 3 days of our vacation in Miami and didn't feel like we were in Florida until we hit A1A and headed on down there. And if you haven't done it, stop in at the top of the Keys at Alabama Jack's when you're going honky-tonkin'.
Well, I'll tell you, there's no better place in the state of Florida than Key West, Florida. It's one of my favorite places on the planet, and I will go back every opportunity I have. I love it down there.
I just wonder why I'm going to Japan this year instead of going back down there, but we're going to put it at the top of our list next spring.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. I appreciate that. I guess we'll have to get Professor Higgins on the line to give Eliza Doolittle some voice lessons. Maybe that'll help. Let's go to Jeremy in Huntington Beach. Jeremy, hello.
Yes, hello, John. I'm sure a lot of people would agree one of the most cringeworthy things you can hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. But just behind that would be once our next governor approaches the mic for the first time and we get to hear, winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, if that's the case, we might all end up living in Key West.
I would definitely vote for. I mean, when she was the mayor of Costa Mesa, that was the only town that ever enforced the mask mandate when all that craziness was going on, and everybody knows that's you may as well be walking around with a witch doctor's bag of herbs tied around your neck. So, in fact, that would probably be more effective. But my other comment was possibly one reason these people are throwing the devices that they are upon the court at the WNBA is that Many of those ladies are lacking that the genuine article in their life and reality. So that I know if I was I'd probably be doing it too.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Well, there's a theory. They're just trying to help. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. It's Jimmy Buffett Friday on the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Roger Stone joins us at the top of the hour. Let's go to Marco in San Francisco. Marco, hello.
Yeah, hey, two things. I like. First thing, I really love your radio show, especially up here in the Bay Area. We used to have good talk radio, and now it's nothing. But you guys, at least, we get a little more local stuff. You know, be even from Southern California. Although I had to sit here and listen to your weather reports, and that sucks because up here the weather sucked. Up until today, we finally had sun. But anyways, yeah, the whole thing about the marital aids being thrown out on the basketball courts. From what I read today, it's a Bitcoin promotion. It's called Green Dill Marital Aid, Bitcoin. And two people have been arrested from what I read this morning. The irony is that they arrested, that one of the things was throwing a sexually explicit object. And I sit there and say, have they walked the streets of San Francisco? We got guys walking around with their wieners sticking out all the time. I don't get it, but that's what, and the first one that was thrown was in the city of San Francisco. So we are doing our part. But yes, from what I read, it's a Bitcoin company.
And throwing one of those objects is a separate section of the penal code?
The what kind of code? Don't go there. Yeah, they said it was throwing sexually explicit objects, and you could hurt somebody, which I get. It's no different than throwing I don't know, like a stale loaf of bread out there, but yeah. So I did read that two people were arrested. I think one was in Atlanta. I don't know where the other one, because there was like 3 or 4 different incidents. But in San Francisco, why would that be a problem? I don't, I mean, it's just, but anyway, but yeah, it was a promotional from some, Green Dill, .com, Bitcoin. And that's what I read today.
Well, that is quite the guerrilla marketing technique.
Yeah, well, it's everybody's talking about it, I guess. I don't know.
That's true.
But yeah, so once again, I really love your show. When I'm at work, when I get to listen to you guys, I turn it on. So,
well, I appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much. Wouldn't it be weird if this just caught on beyond the WNBA? I mean, just imagine. You put on your tuxedo, the bow tie, the tails, the whole thing. You bring your monocle. You take the missus out for a nice night at the opera. And at the end, after the show is over, instead of throwing a bouquet of flowers out on the stage, you just take one of those objects and you throw it at the stage as hard as you can. And you knock that Viking helmet right off the fat woman's head. It could happen. Or how about weddings? At weddings, when the bride comes down the aisle, what is it that they typically put on the ground around the bride? Rose petals. You have rose petals. You have the little girl walking down with the rose petals. Well, why does it have to be rose petals? It could be this. What do you do when you need a wish to come true? You go to a fountain and you take out a pretty penny and you throw that pretty penny right in the water in the fountain and you make your wish, hoping that your wish will come true. Who says it has to be a penny? Why can't it be one of these objects where you just take it and you just throw it into that fountain as hard as you can, make a huge splash, and then you make your wish? That wish could come true. I don't know. This might be something that goes beyond one cryptocurrency company advertising their product. Stranger things have happened. We've got one more hour coming up on the John Phillips Show. Roger Stone joins us next. Don't you go anywhere.